morning. Welcome to Sunrise Extra, a big Friday because we are in the Weather Center, as you can tell. We are talking about the possibility of snow next week in the metro area, in the valley floor. Definitely snow in the mountains this weekend.
I feel like we're junior meteorologists being in here. We're waiting for the man himself.
The only thing missing from the Weather Center is the weatherman. And you know how Rod gets when any one of the three of us start talking about the weather. Like we're experts.
Shuts us up.
Yes. Hey, let me handle the weather. So, Rod, we're waiting for you, Rod, right now as I record.
Oh, well, we got a weather person. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
We have two meteorologists.
No, you're right. This show is bold.
Chris, take over. Tell people.
So while Rod is out there dancing, doing his thing, and I know he's going to be back in a minute.
Yeah.
I can answer a couple questions, maybe.
You can take over.
I'll try.
Well, just kind of tell us what's on the way over. Let's start with the weekend.
Okay. Well, the weekend we know we got a big storm coming. We got a lot of wind, right? Wind. Okay, so first off, wind advisory in the Willamette Valley. We're going to have some gusty winds this afternoon. How gusty? 35, 40 mile an hour wind gusts, enough to maybe take down a tree limb or two, or maybe a tree. That is possible. It's not like the windstorm to end all windstorms, but it's going to be breezy and wet this afternoon in Portland. Up in the mountains, Cascades, right? We're talking big snow there, 1 to 3 feet of snow. A slam dunk this weekend. So the skiers and snowboarders are just like licking their chops right now. I know Cameron J is probably wanting to take, that's Cameron Grant.
Yeah.
Cameron J has already left the building because he's getting ready to go skiing this weekend. It's going to be a fantastic weekend up on the slopes. Getting there, obviously, though, is going to be a challenge. It could be some very, very nasty driving conditions up over the passes.
That's what I wonder about, because we talk on one hand, we talk about, great conditions for skiing this weekend with all the fresh snow, but I'm thinking as it's snowing,
so the worst of it's coming in this evening and overnight, but it is going to be snowing hard tomorrow morning up in the Cascades. So getting there is
And most skiers have
don't let that stop them. They've got snow tires, they've got chains, they generally know what they're doing. But
it's usually the line trying to get up there that's the worst part.
And it will, even if you know what you're doing, it will be slow going if it's
well, I mean, think about this. You're talking about snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches an hour. I mean, when a snowplow comes through, 15 minutes later, the road's snow covered, and an hour later, it's got another inch or more of snow on it, never mind the blowing and drifting, right? So it's gnarly. I mean, it's classic gnarly winter driving conditions up in the Cascades.
I know this is what we can talk about with some relative ease because it's right in front of our faces talking about this weekend. But the other question everyone has is I don't know if it's next Tuesday, next Wednesday, next Thursday, but
or as early as Monday afternoon. Okay. Yeah, I know Rod will pop in a little bit, but the models do have the cold air kind of slowly coming in little pieces, right? And some of the latest model runs. So we watch the models that come in 6 hours at a time, right? So we're always getting new data, and some of the newest data suggests that even by Monday afternoon it could be cold enough to have snowflakes in Portland.
That's nuts.
Now, will it be cold enough to have that sticking on the ground for Monday's afternoon commute? That's still, I mean, now we're trying to find the needle in the haystack, which that would be a question that we just can't answer.
I do want to say really quick, as you guys are watching this, and I can see your comments here on YouTube. Happy Friday from West Lynn. Hi, Morphman. Good morning, JR, to you. Let us know. Type in a question because we can watch it live coming in that you can ask Chris or Rod about your area.
And I know we're going to have Rod in here in just a second, but a little bit later on this morning, we're going to do kind of another little weather synopsis, one to kind of diagnose the weekend situation because this is significant. I mean, what's coming in? We're going to see a lot of rain in Portland. Okay, we can deal with the rain. We're going to have some wind. Okay, check.
Is that kind of? Now he's got the 7-day forecast.
The 7-day forecast is up. Well, he's in the studio, kind of getting some. Do
you want to run through people with the 7-day?
Well, okay. So everybody's then turns their attention to this. Okay, and that's the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The thing that we are most confident about, and we've been confident about this, fairly confident for. Let's see, today's Friday. I mean, we've been confident about this for 5 days, looking ahead 7, 8, 9 days. The models have been locking in on it getting cold.
I have a lot of questions. I don't want to interrupt you, but that seemed unusual to me. Like, do we typically, I don't think we do, start talking about a snowstorm or a snow event 7, 8, 9 days beforehand?
Okay, so we did not say a snowstorm was coming 7 days out. But what we said is when we see a cold blast like this, and you know that the cold blast is right here and the storm track is right here, it doesn't take a meteorologist to realize that there's potential. But the first thing you need is cold.
Okay.
We are pretty certain about the cold, and now it's just timing the weather disturbances that will bring us the snow.
Can I just say one thing to my colleague? It takes a meteorologist for everything.
This is the part that's interesting to me because when I see that the highs and the lows are both at freezing or below.
What does that tell you, Mr. Carney?
Well, it tells me it's going to be dark cold for the entire day. But honestly, it's like if it's going to snow, sometimes we'll see, oh, it's 31 for an overnight low, but it's 37 by afternoon. Mm-hmm. That is not the case with these 3 days.
Well, so those are my forecast numbers. I mean, forecasting is a very individual sport. It really is. I mean, it is. Chris will agree with me on that. So these are my numbers. So let me tell you why I have these numbers this cold. I think every forecaster in town that I've seen a glimpse of agrees the Arctic air comes in Monday overnight and the Tuesday. Wednesday, I'm believing that cold east winds will come out of the gorge strong enough that it will lock the temperature and the temperature won't have a chance to warm up. Might be wrong, but that's my guess right now. That's the reason I keep us in the 20s. And then there's a big low, and I know Chris already took you through this, it comes Thursday. But these big lows come up, so the wind pulls up in front of the low, and if you can get a south wind field shooting up the valley that literally warms the temperature and the snow never happens. But then you can have a situation where it's pouring rain at the coast, Salem gets a south wind flow, and they are raining. Then you have maybe a mixture of anything and everything in Portland. Then you get out into the gorge and you have a major event, be it snow or ice. Or does the Arctic air win and the east wind keeps it in play and we all get snow? But there is a pretty good low that's been consistently showing up the back half of next week. And right now the question is the cold air in place when that comes in? Matt Safino in his blogs on our online side has been calling that the classic setup for a valley snowstorm. What Matt is referring to, cold air in place, east winds keeping the cold air in place while the big Pacific system comes in from the west. So, but we'll see how it plays out.
And as long as that low then tracks just kind of generally south of Portland, it keeps the what I like to say, the freezer door open.
Yeah.
The freezer door being the gorge, right? Because we know the freezer is going to be over for you folks watching us in the gorge in central and eastern Oregon. You're going to be the freezer. You're going to be the ice box. You are going to be the source of all of our headaches here in the valley now.
It's you folks out east.
It's your fault. That's where a slam dunk. That's where the cold air is going to be, and then the gorge is like the freezer door, right? You open the freezer door, and the cold air comes in. You close the freezer door when the wind shifts.
So Drew, I thought you had a great comment from your son, and you asked Rod during the show. It was like, no, he's the translator. He brings it in. When will you know? One of your sons wanted to know, when will you know?
Walking the dog, and he goes, Dad, when does Rod say he'll know that it's going to snow?
I would answer, and I'll let Chris take a stab at this too. I mean, to me, once we get into that 60 and even that 60-hour window closing in on 48 hours, we start to get a lot more confident profile information of what is the temperature down low? What's the temperature going to be at 5,000 feet? What's the temperature going to be up top? What's the wind field around that low going to be? Is there any reason to expect that the south wind could possibly win out and warm us up? So you really start getting more confidence on that. And that's not Monday. 60 hours is 2.5 days out, so that's still a little ways away.
Yeah, it is. That's good to know.
Somebody on
I would agree wholeheartedly with that, because it's just rare that we can nail something out, that far, right? I mean, it's just. And that, just wanted to chime in that I agree.
Yeah, we're not very good nailers.
Somebody on YouTube wanting to know about the winds before this whole snowstorm happens. Are the winds going to be, how bad are they going to be? Do you think they could cause power outages? I mean, I know that's impossible for you guys to answer.
Well, if a tree limb comes down on a power line, is it going to be windy enough that we could have a couple tree limbs down?
What do you think about gusts?
We've had a whole bunch of days over the past couple of weeks where we've had peak wind gusts anywhere from 32 to 37. And I think that's what most of us see today. There's some potential that maybe a few spots spike at 40 or 45. Now, that's not enough to do any widespread damage. But again, we have a lot of trees, as Chris pointed out. It's a blustery day. Could there be a tree come down somewhere and that knocks into a power line?
I just came down Lovejoy yesterday, actually. There is a large chunk of a tree on Lovejoy right by 23rd. A big, it's just laying there on the ground. So I'm not sure if that came from maybe Monday afternoon, Tuesday's gusty winds, but that was pretty windy, and we didn't have an advisory for it, but it was enough to bring a weakened tree down.
So overall, I would say it's not really going to be noticeably more windy than it's been a handful of times over the past couple of weeks.
So RJ Raven, hello, says, excuse me, I'm a little dyslexic this morning.
Thank you.
If you live at the beach, you'll probably lose power. They say the wind is blowing at 25 with gusts up to 40. It really is 40 with gusts like
although
80.
The beach not under any wind warning or anything, which means their gusts are expected, I'm going to say their gusts are expected to generally stay under 50, 55 miles per hour, which is not enough for a wind warning.
High wind warning criteria, I think, is sustained
I forget but you got to have gusts generally talking 58.
Gusts over 58 miles an hour, something like that, yeah.
And JR specifically watching us from Nehalem, so that's the part of the coast that she is
And
on.
it also matters at the beach, by the way, whether you're kind of like in a coastal community, like say Tillamook, or you're like you literally, lucky you, live right on the beach, and then the coastal headlands obviously just get slammed.
Yeah, some of the forecast models have been showing in the wind fields up top could see gusts going 60 miles per hour, 65 miles per hour at the higher exposed headlands. And that would be enough for a warning. It's not out of the question they would pop up a warning later today.
Are you seeing, Brenda, that JR did not mind you calling her RJ for a moment? She gave you 2 emojis with the heart kisses. The heart kisses.
Back at
Heart
ya.
kisses. She also says when the wind comes barreling down North Fork Road, down the river towards her house, it is bad.
Yeah.
We also have a viewer that I don't recall seeing before, watching us on Sunrise Extra, Castle Rock rail fan, saying good morning.
Castle Rock.
Good morning back to you.
Good morning.
Yeah. So you think Monday we're going to have, we're going to be back doing the show on Monday and talking about this very same topic when it should be kind of more clear.
Well, I mean, there would have to be a complete flip-flop for us not to be at least tracking that cold Arctic air mass.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
that's
the
Keely
thing,
Chalmers'
you know?
hands, right? Sunday
Everything
morning,
is
could turn this whole thing upside down.
Everything is always possible. I mean, at this point, it would be really surprising if the Arctic air doesn't come in Monday.
But I mean, that's the 48-hour, 60-hour window that you were talking about.
Well, so
like
Monday, then we'd have a good. Well, you know, Monday, I would say really for Wednesday night, Thursday, I'm going to back up and say you probably have a lot more confidence clearly Tuesday morning than you will on Monday morning.
My money's on you, though.
Yeah.
Your winter outlook, I feel like, has been spot on. I don't want to jinx you. I know it's all sciencey and whatnot, but you have done a stellar job, like walking us through it.
I appreciate that.
Let's see how it hasn't happened.
Well, we are on the lookout for an
but
8-inch
it's like
snow
the
event in
timing.
January, and that's what he said back in
timing,
November.
exactly.
That was
Which
the
is kinda
headline.
crazy. Yeah.
What was disappointing about my winter outlook was I didn't see how mild the late fall and early winter was going to be. I didn't see us struggling to have good snowpack conditions for skiers and boarders over the holiday, over Christmas. That was disappointing.
Take the credit.
That's not what I called for.
Because you know we get checked all the
But if
time.
we get this cold January spell and we get a significant event, then I will, as I say to my wife, honey, I need snow next week. I need at least 6 inches. If I get it, I will proclaim victory, talking about my
I may be
winter
wrong. I'm
outlook,
just saying I'm a
and I
betting
will
woman and I'm betting on you on
walk
this one.
off into the sunset.
All right, fair enough.
It is big of you to take to try to say, hey, it wasn't all gold, my forecast, but there were 2 takeaways. Just to back it up, because that kind of came down to you. You did say you said we would be talking about snow Thanksgiving weekend. We all thought you were crazy, and we talked about snow Thanksgiving
Drew
weekend.
did.
Yeah, we had that. There was officially a trace of a snowflake that one day out of PDX. that Thanksgiving weekend.
In downtown Portland, it was flurrying on Thanksgiving weekend, and then the other big headline was, hey, some significant snowfall January, February.
We said no significant cold in terms of low-level snow through the first of the year. January would be our best bet for an extended cold spell with the potential of 1 6 to 8 inch snow event.
Did you want to change topics?
That sounds pretty right on.
Let's
sounds
talk
pretty
about this
good.
again on Monday.
Yeah.
Guys, come on over here.
Let's
All
sit
right.
down.
We're gonna, I got to sit down.
We'll get back to work.
Oh, yeah.
You could join us.
Come on, Chris.
We had a fun morning poll this morning about 90% of Americans say they come to work when you feel sick, when you shouldn't.
I think
so
there's
we were
a whole-
asking, like,
Yeah, go
what
ahead.
is your biggest reason for coming to work when you're sick?
I
And
feel
we
like there's a
forgot to add on
huge-
there
What?
if you don't have sick leave.
Oh,
Can't.
yeah. Well, that's a whole other issue. But I feel like if you come back to work after being sick and you don't feel 100%, that's one thing. But if you come to work while you're feverish and actively contagious,
Oh, yeah.
that's when I think you are not my favorite coworker.
Let's throw another thing out there.
Don't fall over.
What do you mean?
As I do that.
No.
Do you realize that by the time you're feverish
Or bring it over?
and like vomiting or coughing,
Oh, yeah. I don't think people
spewing
do
out all these bodily fluids, you realize that you have actually probably just about surpassed your most contagious point.
Well,
you realize that
is
you're,
that-
you're most
you're contagious before you know it. Yes.
And
Okay.
so
Interesting.
to me, that says, well, maybe we should be afforded the opportunity to listen to our bodies a little bit more when we get those signs like, man, I'm feeling run down. Maybe I should
Can we throw up our
just
megaphone
take
poll? Because I love the options that we have.
Mental personal health day because I'm just worn out. Because you know what? That is your body's internal warning sign saying there is a problem.
Yeah.
And a really good night's sleep is like rebooting your computer. it clears out a lot of stuff
absolutely.
because we are our own worst enemies, right? That's my take.
My wife will tell you without question, I get sick probably, I'm going to say 80-90% of the time more when I'm really tired. When we've had some crazy extra hours of work or something.
Yeah, when you're run down. And 59% of you say there's just too much dang work to do. So you come to work.
Did you know?
What you got?
Did you know, Nina Melhoff? You put a post out there earlier this morning.
Yes.
About an hour ago, talking about this very topic. And so a lot of you watching us right now on YouTube, we say thank you for doing that. But on our Facebook post, or yours specifically, lots of comments on this topic. So I start with Chrissy Schunlet.
Okay.
Or Schlunt. Chrissy Schlunt. She says, how about option 4, gang? Because I have no other choice. That's her reason.
Right.
She says, many people don't have the luxury of taking a day off, and they have to work because that one day of pay is vital to keeping a roof over their head.
Yep.
Yeah, not everybody gets a paid sick day.
Yeah. Some of these.
Everybody
on the third
should
option.
get a paid sick day.
There's been
Come on, corporate America.
There's been a long, hard push for that to happen, and it has happened legally, right, for companies over X number of employees, right? But I mean, really, we need to probably say.
But if you're a business owner and you got nobody else to work, you got to go to work.
It's
you got to
hard.
keep your door open.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a one-man shop, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I always think
I get
that
it.
people are going to think I'm faking it. Unless I really put on the real sick
I will
thing
tell
in
you.
the phone call.
No, we trust you.
Because I sometimes think people fake it.
Well,
Sometimes
what do you
they probably
care?
do, but most times
I'm
not.
faking it. I don't know.
That's a you
It's like
problem.
an optics thing, and then I'm like, no, I gotta go
don't
in,
care.
and then they'll see that I'm sick, and then if I take the next day off, then they'll know.
But if you work in corporate America, you likely have set sick days. So honestly, I don't care if you're faking it or not. Part of your compensation package is you have X amount of days to be sick or not be sick or fake it or do whatever you want to do. So to me,
But
there
the
really
faking it is
shouldn't be
usually
any-
you need a mental health day, which
Guilt
is also now a thing, right? People are like talking about that as a
And it
legitimate
is, and it
thing.
should be.
Oh my gosh, this
agree.
Monday, if my
should
Kansas
be.
City Chiefs lose, I may need a mental health day.
No, we can do on Monday.
I want to make sure I heard you right. In your last comment, Rod, did you say companies have sick time?
I'm going to say if you work in corporate America, you likely have either some sort of paid sick time that has a limit on it. And so my point there was it's part of your compensation. So you shouldn't feel bad about faking something. It's part of your compensation package.
I would say that you're generally correct, but then we have our friend Linda Wilkinson, who I know follows us pretty religiously on Facebook. Linda's saying, how about none of the above? Because she says, I go to work sick because I have an employer that does not have sick time available, or if they do, they make you wait 90 days before you can use it.
That doesn't make
when
any
you first get a job
When
or
you
something,
first start,
maybe?
yeah.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
you have to
She didn't
accrue
get
it.
any more
A lot
clear
of
than
Yeah,
that.
businesses, you have to
maybe
accrue
we
it.
could clarify
That
that.
is state law, correct, in Oregon? If you're a full-time employee, I don't know what the labor laws. Did you know, Nina or Brenda?
No, I'm not
sure.
well versed enough.
Companies
to
over
speak
X
on it
number of employees,
definitively.
and I don't know what that number is, if it's 50 or whatever, have to provide some degree of sick time, whatever. I mean, I'm grossly paraphrasing what I kind of think I know, but I don't know for sure.
I had a boss call me a sicko once. I think he was referring to the fact I should take a sick day.
Well, listen, I'm kind of with Nina, and I think it's definitely a you problem, where if you question whether other people are telling the truth, that's why you have guilt about your own calling in sick. I didn't miss a day of work last year because I was sick. And I think it has to go back to like January or February of 2018. The only reason I bring this up is one time I did call in sick here to KGW, probably 11 years ago. A gentleman who no longer works on our assignment desk, our content discovery center, answered the phone.
I know who you're talking about.
Do you? Actually, you mentioned this guy earlier today.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Oh, no,
Okay,
Jay
go
did.
ahead.
Jay mentioned this.
Anyway, no one cares.
No
one cares about
Now that we've got that
don't know.
sorted out.
Anyway, go ahead.
It's a very real story, Nina. That's the part they enjoy, I think.
Continue.
So I call, and I say, hey,
I'm sick.
Frank, I'm calling in sick today.
Calling sick.
He says, okay. And then he mentioned that I had this thing going on at 10 o'clock in the morning that day, which I did. He said, don't you have that shoot at 10 o'clock in the morning? I said, yes, I do. He goes, well, how sick are you?
See, I've gotten that same response.
That's not okay.
No, it's not. And in my head, I was a lot of things, like angry, mostly angry. And I didn't know, I was like, wait, how do I want to answer this question?
Then of like,
and then I said,
okay.
I'm sick enough to where I'm calling you and telling you I'm not coming to work.
Well, that's where
That's
a
all you
manager
need to
needs
know,
the
but I was
training to understand
pissed.
that
When I
that's.
hung up the phone, I was like,
Yeah.
what the?
Yeah.
Because I don't do it often enough.
No.
In my head, I was thinking, you know what? It's fine if you have your doubts about people, but when someone doesn't normally do it, do you really question them the one time?
Well, I
I've
mean,
gotten that reaction too.
yeah. Have you really?
Yeah. Here?
Well, I mean,
Chris
again,
McGinnis?
No.
Rod Hill?
but the bottom line is, I know,
Don't call her out.
At least at our
That
place
is
of
somebody
employment,
else's
it's
problem.
part of your compensation package. So it's your choice to take a sick day. End of story.
I feel like an attitude has changed here, though, because now 2 years ago we moved to PTO time where our vacation and our sick is all lumped in together, and now suddenly I feel like people are healthier than they were before.
Well, you've even said
Does
you
he
don't
wanna
want to
save it?
use
No.
a sick day. You'd rather take it as a vacation day.
Well, heck yes.
So if you
Yeah.
have the choice, perhaps if you weren't so sick, you'd come in
Right.
and
Yeah.
spread your germs around.
If I had gone like the entire year and it's November and I hadn't taken a sick day yet in the past and I know I had 7 sitting there, you know, maybe I'd say, I'm not feeling great today. I'm going to take one of those sick days I haven't used all year. But yeah, now you're not going to because it's a vacation day.
I actually had to take 5 legit sick days last year because I think most of it was toddler germs.
Yeah, no, you
and I
were
never
sick.
get sick.
so
And
much
so,
now.
yeah, it's just one of those things where, and then for us parents, like, when the kids are sick, somebody's got to take a sick day to stay home with them too. Like,
Yes.
you know, so there's a need for that allowance for everybody that works.
Absolutely.
I think the kids make you sick for sure. But
Well,
at
I'm
the same
just
time,
going to throw that out there. I
They're
mean,
going to help
you're
build up
exposed
your
to more
immunity as well. I
more
feel like
stuff,
when
yeah.
your kids are 10, 11, 12, you'll suddenly feel like healthier and that you can take
I'll be like
on-
Superman?
Yeah, you can cough right in someone's face and it won't affect you.
Yes, I can cough in somebody's face
Or
and it will
someone
not
cough-
affect me.
someone
Yes,
can
that is
cough in your
true.
face.
I think the last time I got sick, I'm going to blame my boyfriend, Jeff. Because like he's a
do it.
grown man, but he always wants to sip on things, and I'm like, I always have to ask him, "Are you sick?" He said, "No, you don't want to. Not
Sure,
off my
yeah.
spoon, not off my latte." He's like, "I'm like, you said that you were sniffly." I'm like paranoid because like I don't want to get sick, so I'm like, no.
I'll
I
stick
did
up for
want
Jeff
to get
Zane's
sick
part.
earlier in the season, remember? I wanted to be sick.
Yeah.
You wanted to be
Oh, yeah,
sick?
have you
I
rethought
just
that?
wanted like the
Remember that.
legit excuse
Have you
to sit
rethought
in
that
bed
now
and,
about
like,
laying
watch
in bed
television.
and watching TV?
No, it was great. When I was sick, and I think I took 2 days off of work before Drew was
And it was
like on
great?
every social site commenting and be like, "Oh, when are you coming back to work? It's getting a little difficult for
I
me."
thought I
around
texted
here."
you. I
There's a text and
So
I
Drew's the bully.
yeah, he
posted-
made me come back.
Now, you
And,
posted when you came back that I
But those
guilted you,
2
but I
days
sent you
were
a
great.
text.
Yeah,
So-
It
text.
felt terrible, but I was watching TV.
Does
and I
your
had a good
daughter
excuse.
like? Does she like people? Like, does she have a little stranger danger kind of thing? Is she used to being around other
She had
people?
more.
Because I'm going to volunteer to come and babysit for you one day, so you can go have a Nina day.
Hey,
And Paloma and I are going to hang out.
hey, what about this over here? We could use
Yeah, Chris has
we
got
need 2
two
hands now.
We can
Catherine's
close
still
out
at home. I'm
with
sure she
two
would
more
love to have some
comments.
company right now. You want to stop by?
Auntie Brenda is here for you
All right.
people.
This is kind of crazy in my opinion. Viewer Darcy says she's a teacher, works part-time, teaches one class for 70 minutes. She's paid each day for an hour and 36 minutes only. She says she has the flu today, preparing for a sub today. It took her over 2 hours to get that sub. Another trip back to school to drop off supplies that were needed for the day. She says, if I weren't so very contagious, I would have powered through. Today I'm a hot mess at home. But then another viewer, Deborah, says in replies to her, you need to get a mask on and gut it out. This is what I do. Wash your hands frequently and hope you don't throw up.
And hope you
information.
don't throw up. Oh yeah,
That
come
is
on.
bad. No, I don't think she's
You
being
know,
sarcastic.
Wow.
We are human beings. It's okay to be
Right.
sick, and if it's part of your, especially if it's part of your compensation package, I keep coming back to that.
Well, it's not
it's
hers.
okay to use.
For her, yeah.
She didn't choose to be sick.
Need it.
Thank
Bye,
you
you
for
guys. Have a
choosing us.
wonderful weekend. We'll be back on Monday talking about snow possibility. Bye.